Hello, friends. Welcome to A Little Room for Healing, where we aim to create a little more room in the world for authentic connection, insightful healing, and a deeper understanding of our hearts, ourselves, and each other through honest conversation. My name is Joel. I'm a Reiki and 13th Octave Laho Chi practitioner, a facilitator for deep healing, and your host. My guest today is Emily L. Collins. Emily is a spiritual technologist, reviving ancient spiritual technology for transformation and creativity. She is working on her first film, Spaceborn, and founded a community called Union Tribe Church. Together we talk about her desire to have a child and how she is preparing for that journey when it comes, including healing her mother wound and working through fear. She shares how wanting a child has accelerated her healing process, and we delve into how she would like to create an encouraging and supportive environment for her future children to find their own path. As usual, we start with check-ins so we can be more attuned with each other. Come on in. Hello, Emily.
Hi, Joel.
It is wonderful to have you. I'm back, by the way, hello everyone. I'm back in my little room for healing energy space after traveling and doing a bunch of podcasts in LA, and Emily is here with me visiting
from LA. You can't leave LA, Joel.
I know. It's calling. It's calling me.
Pretty big.
Yeah, and thanks for coming on the podcast. And I'm excited to see what we get into today.
Sure.
So let's jump in and do some check-ins. I'll go first, and then I'll pass it over to you.
Sure.
And then we'll see what happens. Okay. My check-in is that I'm feeling very spacious and open and energetic today. We were thinking about recording yesterday, and we were both kind of like, something doesn't feel right about it. So we waited till today, and I think that was the wise decision. So I'm feeling very energetic and open and awake, and that's about it. My check-in's pretty clear and clean today. Excited about talking with you in this kind of setting.
Amazing.
So how are you? What's going on with you?
Maybe I should have waited a little bit. I was filling out paperwork. I have a desire to be a mother, and health insurance is like a real thing in this country. And so I was going through health insurance plans for pregnancy and possible, plans and things like that. And I was very much in a, 3D configuration. But, this journey of desiring to be a mother has been a long road for me. I think when it comes down to, cost and cost of having children and all that stuff, I think that was a big roadblock for me for even wanting to have children. I'm kind of jumping from the check-in to a little bit more of the healing. So
do it.
If you're ready, no, I'm going to jump right in.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Jill told me we'd talk about healing, so let's go into it. I think I realized on my healing journey is I grew up with a scarcity mindset. My dad was in and out of a job. My mom was always stressed about money. And so I never really wanted to have children because it was a stress. It was a stress to provide for a family. It was a stress to, organize everything. And so, it made me sort of like work very hard and in my career and want to climb the corporate ladder and make as much as I could so that I never had to feel that burn from we don't have enough this month, or we're not sure where next month is coming from. So I stayed in jobs and relationships and my first marriage a lot longer than probably most people would put up with, just because I think I just didn't want to feel that what's next feeling. So all this really came in this morning where I was, looking at these health insurance plans with a different outlook than I would have 3 or 4 years ago when having children wasn't even on my agenda. Yeah.
Wow. I never thought about, I don't think about children at all. So to think about like in the planning process of having a child and looking at insurance and thinking about insurance in that realm of like future planning, like that's That's wild to think about.
Yeah.
That's
Well, and
wild
something
to
that
think
brought up a lot of fear, I think, for me before, and a lot of pain when I was a child, and my parents were struggling to afford things like health insurance or college or, vacations or even food sometimes. So it's a difficult prospect to think like in the day and age we live in where, both parents kind of have to work to create an environment where you can afford all the things that you're supposed to have. It really puts us in kind of a human pickle. I think one of the most profound things that has led me to want to have children is healing the mother and father wounds that I did have. And I think as the healing process really unraveled and I realized that I wanted to have children, a lot of this stuff started coming up. My mom was one of the 80s. I was born in 83, so she was one of the like shoulder pad working moms. Like I remember this like Working Woman or something movie, and it was like all these women on Wall Street with their makeup on and their little tennis shoes with tights on, and that was my mom. I mean, she was in the financial industry, a very man's world, working, and as a result, I was put into daycare and a nanny at 6 weeks old, and in my healing journey with plant medicine, I was able to remember the moment where I asked for my mom and she wasn't there. Ooh. And, it's great to have a nanny and that's lovely. But there's something about what I realized is there's something about a connection with your actual mother. It's like this woman is nice and she's feeding me, but what I really want is my mom and my mom's breast. And I think what it resulted in is what felt like a bullet wound in my heart. And I think that was a huge wounding that was preventing me from wanting to have children, is like that pain of like separation from my own mother, I think was separating me from wanting to have children of my own. Wow. It's like, why would I do that to them, kind of thing. Or why would anyone do that to them?
What were, like you said, it felt like a bullet wound to the heart. Can you expound on that feeling a little bit more of what it actually felt like to when you relived that moment of asking for your mom and she wasn't there?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is I wasn't expecting it. What I asked the medicine, we always do intentions before ceremony. I said, why do I never get what I want, or why do I always think the answer is going to be no? So I actually went in not even thinking that this was a problem in my life, or that this, oh yeah, of course I went to the nanny when I was a kid. No, it was, how come I can never get what I want? Or how come I always think the answer is no? And that was my intention. And what resulted was me in the crib, reaching up, realizing that I'm never going to get my mom, and basically giving up. Wow. Giving up. Just, okay, she's not coming. Okay, that's it. I'm not going to even ask anymore. I'm not going to ask anymore because it's not going to be there. And so that was kind of this pattern that I started at 6 weeks old, was just not even like allowing myself to ask for what I want, because the answer was it was just not going to come. And so it was like almost like a give up moment, which felt like a bullet wound, for an infant child, where the world is your oyster and you get to live your full life. You have like an entire lifetime ahead of you. At 6 weeks old, to be kind of like stunted at that moment, it felt like I got shot in the heart. And so I actually had to feel that pain again. And ayahuasca was able to like open that for me. And it took several years actually after, about 2 years after, of slowly reparenting that infant and letting that infant know there's always enough milk for you. You can always, I'm going to hold you. There's always enough of mommy's time, even if there's more kids, that doesn't mean that I don't love you anymore, any less, there's just more love available, and kind of making that switch of, I only have enough time for this, and this. It's like our hearts actually have infinite capacity for that, and sort of like retraining my programming to include that.
Wow. Yeah. What have been as you reparent this child, what have been the emotions or the stages that you felt her go through when she's realizing that someone's actually saying I'm there.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of self-doubt. There's disbelief. A lot of sadness that I had to process. Because I think I also just stopped crying as well. And so just allowing those tears to come out. So letting those inner child tears just flow and allow the sadness to come out. And the grief. It's a loss. It's a loss of relationship that I had with my mom, where we could have had a different alignment. But because of this communication at such an early age, I really feel that there was a loss with my mom. We weren't ever as close. And I think, gosh, why are we not so close? Why don't I have this bond where I want to call my mom? Or like I see other people like really connected with their mom, and I just don't have that. And it's like there's a grief and a loss for the relationship that we didn't get to develop in that really early first year of life. So a lot of grief.
Yeah. Have you noticed, has there been any shift in your actual relationship with your mom since then?
Absolutely. 100% shift. I've been able to see her more and have compassion for, the need to work and understanding like she didn't mean to do this to me. And so I think there was a inner resentment towards her, or like why are you pushing me away, or do you not love me because you're putting me here? I think that was clouding a lot of how I saw her. And so I would look at her and talk to her with a little bit of resentment or a little bit of that, like, kind of like, I'm going to put a guard up with you because you hurt me. And once those walls internally started coming down, I could just see her for her. And I could see her inner child a lot more too. I could see her just wanting to play and, like, but I have to go to work and, we had a beautiful reconciliation just a few months ago of apologizing for some things that came up. And I don't even think I had the capacity to do that because I was holding this kind of anger and sadness and grief towards her. And with that lifted, it enabled us to like have those conversations and to start to forgive each other for things that happened, of course, much later than 6 weeks old. But, the relationship was started at that point and it just kind of spiraled. So
that is amazing. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That you and her have been able to connect in that way, and then like walls are starting to fall down. And I've really been seeing in my healing journey, and because I've seen it in my healing journey, I'm seeing it in other people's healing journeys, how much we, as the ones who are healing, attempting to heal, working through the healing process, we're holding on to things that we're also blaming for doing to us. Yeah. But we're gripping onto that story as well, and those feelings and those, because of how we needed to when it happened, for protection.
And how it's so much easier to blame somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's their fault. They're the ones who need healing. I'm healing.
Exactly. You're like, I'm doing the work.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But we do put up those walls, and that is a real thing. Yeah.
So what has been... I noticed so much when I record this, by the way, this is a side note. When I ask questions, that I start a question, and then I stop, and then I rephrase the question.
Okay.
That's my style. Have you noticed any shift in... I mean, you have noticed shift in your relationship to wanting to have a child, but I guess the question is, what has been the shift that you've been noticing that drew you into, oh, I'm ready?
I have worked through a tremendous amount of fear. I think fear was the number one blocker of me being ready. And I don't know, there's kind of this like joke, like, oh, you're never ready. You're never really ready to have kids. You hear people say that. And I'm sure when it happens, there'll probably be things that I'm still not ready for. But I really had to work through a lot of fear. I had to work through fear of, financial scarcity from the situation I shared with you in my check-in, just kind of like, how are we going to provide for this child? Fear of like, am I going to have to work and abandon the kid? Like just so many fears about replaying the trauma that I had. And also just like kind of the scary world that we live in right now. And so I was kind of letting a lot of that dictate my decisions. And so when I started like facing the fear instead of like letting the fear drive me, it's solutions just started to appear like that. So, it, I think my experience now going through this process is just, okay, let's look at this fear objectively and let's not just like let it run us. Like, let's really examine, is this really true? Is this really true? And I think that was helped me get ready, is going through fear. And it was a lot. It was like a lot of fear.
Is there still some in there?
Right now I'm feeling very relaxed and ready. And, if something comes up I'm afraid of, I'm ready to just kind of look at it and be like, there's a solution here. Like the solution will come. And a little bit more of that sort of trusting the universe, like trusting that thing will be provided for or that answer will come. I was very afraid of the medical system here. So it's funny that I was signing up for like medical care, and it's more of a backup. I've read a lot of books that educated me that, being pregnant is like the most natural thing that a woman can do. Like our bodies know what to do. We don't need a lot of extra stuff. And we've been led to believe that we need all these tests and hormone checks and this kind of thing and like ultrasounds and like, actually, no, like our body really knows what to do and your body will tell you like, hey, something's off. But for the most part, like, just be happy and be pregnant and enjoy your life.
Have you noticed any difference in other aspects of your life because of working through the fear surrounding bringing a child into the world, like your relationship or even with money?
Yeah, actually. It's been a big breakthrough. I think I've always wanted to start certain projects and fear would block me. And I was like I would get excited and start and then there would be something that would block me. And I really think it was the fear. I would kind of let all the things block it. And so I'm actually making a movie about a child being born in outer space and
amazing.
A project that I probably would have let fear stop me, like, oh, you're not a filmmaker, like, oh, how are you going to find the right people to work with, or like, how do you have enough money to do that? And like I would have let a lot of these kind of blocks that I had about children, they were also blocks in potential like projects in business. And if you think about creative energy in a baby, it's creative energy all over the place. And, I've been getting back into my artwork and like being more open to writing. And it's almost like something just got kind of like unblocked from my creative center.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Fear.
It's
a doozy.
It's a big one.
Okay, when you feel into wanting to have a child, what are maybe the desires behind it? What are the urges that are coming up? What are the things that are saying yes, yes, yes?
I found the right partner to do this process with, and that really feels so fulfilling. It feels like, we're not two, we're going to become one, through this third person in our life, and just a greater connection of creating family with a man that I really love and want to kind of create this thing with. That's a huge driver. And also just, I feel, I want to be a guide to this child to open their world up in a way that, maybe my world wasn't open up to, and just allow a path forward for them to be a free thinker and a free human, with less conditioning that I came with, really opening them up to what's I think, a potential for a human to be. And sharing a lot of this healing work, I would like to share with other women how important it is to heal before having kids, at least start this healing process and start digging into the wounds and the fears and if I can just be an example of what that looks like in motherhood, I would love to just be very embodied and in being a mom and being present for my child, and all the things I learned from what went wrong for me, I can be an example for how to do it differently. And sometimes we go and we do the opposite, and that can be just as bad, but like finding that kind of middle path of, between the two. So I would like to embody that through this process and learn a lot, and have this child have the ability to learn a lot through our union together, through our path together.
Oh yeah. I can just, when you like learn a lot, and I just was thinking the amount that you are going to learn from this child when the child arrives throughout the rest of your days together is going to be, it's unfathomable, really.
Yeah. And it feels like part of my purpose also. It feels like I feel very aligned with why I came here. It's like, maybe I came here to get this wounding. This is what it feels like to me. My experience is, it feels like I had this wounding. I'm healing from it. The next phase is, okay, do it. And then, it feels very purpose aligned with why I came here.
I like what you said about healing before, at least as much as you can, or starting the process.
At least start
be
the aware.
Process. Yeah, before you go in, because those traumas that you're working with are going to go into the kid, even the moment that the child is conceived. It's like that's already starting to go in. So to be aware of it, also to have moved as much as you can beforehand, seems very important.
Yeah, and it's been an interesting year. We've been trying almost 9 months now to conceive, and this baby has its own time frame, so whenever it decides to show up. But each month that I'm not pregnant, it sort of has almost put me into like a quantum leap. Like, okay, what else do I need to take on? Like, it's sped up this process of like really doing a lot of self-analyzation, looking at patterns, seeing how I'm showing up, and then just attacking it. So the last 9 months has been a very deep preparation and looking very hard at myself. Okay, last month, I got really angry about this. I didn't express myself. Okay, how can I do that better? Just like literally looking at every little thing that could have been better. Like what went well and what did I need to do better was just a constant thing for me.
It's like the baby, your child's spirit, soul is already it working and being like a teacher for you and saying, I want to come down. I want to be with you guys. Kind of interested in this clearing first.
Yes. Fair. If I had that choice, I would probably wait for my parents to... Oh, next lifetime. Sorry, you didn't do it this time. Yeah.
And the other thing I thought when you said it's been 9 months since you started trying, and then 9 months of acceleration of healing and stuff is it's almost like a pre-gestation.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe there's a pregnancy before the pregnancy.
Yeah.
It actually takes 18 months to make a baby. You didn't know that, but it's actually it's been proven now.
Oh, it's a pretty incredible process that I'll never know. On the female side.
Yeah.
I'll know it. It's possible. It's possible that I'll know it on the male side, but it's not something I'm seeking out.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Have there been, what are some of the other things that you're clearing aside from your relationship to your mother?
Well, I had to work on my dad stuff too. That was tough. I just had a big reconciliation from him. I learned a pattern with him of, it's interesting we're doing a podcast because I've been clearing a lot here in my throat because I learned a pattern of not speaking up for myself, and sort of accepting an authority figure or someone else knows more than me kind of thing, because that's a little bit of my dad and I's dynamic. And I finally got to the point with my dad where we had to reestablish our relationship as an adult relationship. It's like, Dad, you no longer need to tell me what to do, or, I don't have to sit and just listen to you. We're, and I'm 40 years old. So like, this is a long time coming, but I think in his mind, it's like, I'm always the child. And it's that time in his life too, where we become a little bit more even. And I think, in changing that dynamic with my dad, it's allowed me to speak up a lot more. I notice myself like saying what I think, and like, even if I have to interrupt, I'm saying what I want, where usually I would kind of hang back and be a little bit of a fly on the wall until I would process, and then maybe much later I would say something. But I notice I'm much more fiery in the moment, like speaking my opinion and really letting my voice be heard. And it's sort of a manifestation that I'm here because it's not something that would have been top of my mind necessarily before.
To talk, to
just speak, to share what I'm thinking about, or share my opinion about something, or to share like what I'm learning about. Just
wild.
Yeah.
I met you last year, almost a little shy of a year, like maybe like just 10 months ago. And this is how I know you.
Yeah.
As someone who
well, it took more realigning, and I think in my family I was kind of shut up. And so maybe out with my friends I would kind of be loud, but like at home I had to hide. And then from the people that are the closest to you, like your most intimate relationships, to have to hide like that, it wasn't necessarily healthy. And now I feel a lot more free. And talking to both my parents about, my choice in using psychedelics to heal was a very difficult process. And even just being firm, like, therapy wasn't working for me. These other modalities were not really working for me. I sought out something that I wanted to heal, and this works for me. So.
Do you have siblings?
I have a younger sister and a younger brother.
You're the oldest, okay.
I'm the oldest, yeah.
Is your family religious?
Yes, we grew up very much in the church. Oh. That's I know that's a touchy one for you, Joel.
It's actually not so touchy as touchy anymore since my last journey, where I really moved a lot of that stuff. But I'm just, the way I'm hearing you speak of feeling like you had to be small or not speak your truth, that just to me screams religious trauma.
There was probably some of that in mixed in how my parents were taught to parent. Yeah.
Are they still together?
No, they've split up a long time ago. And so I think, there's also that kind of divorced kid thing, like, oh, well, this is a failure, or they split up, those types of programming.
Was there any feeling of, how old were you when they split up?
When they first separated, I was 17, and I had to put up a rebellion, actually, because the house was just so toxic, and I was an empath. I didn't even know what an empath was, but I just could feel everything all the time. And I was like, this is not okay. Like, I don't know, Dad, you need to move out, or I'm going to leave, because I just, like, I can't be here.
Yeah.
So I kind of put up a rebellion, at 17 to get them separated, and then eventually they did.
Wow. Oh,
so when I did speak up, it was also against my dad, and then there was a huge amount of pain that came from that, because it was like I lost my family. I had to leave my family. And so, I think that was also a dynamic with my dad as well.
Wow, that is not something, I don't think I've ever heard a story like that, where you were like advocating for
them to split up. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I just couldn't stand it. I was too sensitive, and to feel them like hating each other all the time. And then I was the oldest, so a lot of times I was like the one they would dump on, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like, you guys figure it out. I gotta go. So I got myself out of that situation, and it helped me on one hand, but it also taught me to run. And because they had stayed together so long, it also taught me to stay in toxic relationships longer than I need to. You know, I should have gotten to that rebellious place a lot sooner, I think, in my first marriage, but I was taught, well, stick it out, you know, and so.
Stick it out. Don't speak your truth. It's, you're not going to get what you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I was really set up for success, Joel. So set up for success. Those are some major, like...
yeah.
No wonder I didn't get the promotion I wanted.
That's some hard stuff. That's some hard stuff to hold.
Yeah.
Do you... I heard... It sounded like Yvonne was coming down, didn't it?
There's a creaky ceiling.
Oh, I had a question. It was... Because of, in the divorce, in the fact that your parents were separated, did you also find it challenging, like you had to not speak your truth in order to maybe keep peace?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Or play sides.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can see that, and I can see that playing out in my career as well. Like, I just kind of learned to compartmentalize things and keep things in a box to sort of keep myself straight and keep my relationships straight.
Yeah.
A lot of compartmentalizing. Yeah.
It's tough work to get out of.
Yeah. Yeah, I did the dive off a cliff method. I don't recommend it for everybody, but it worked for me. Yeah.
What's the dive off the cliff method?
Well, you get a divorce, then you get fired from your job, you know, pretty much right after, and then you leave the place you've been living for 12 years and just fly, you know, start over. Just a complete reset, I guess.
Yeah.
I hit the reset button.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. 2019, I hit the complete reset. I completely started over. Literally sold or gave away everything that I owned. Left my home, which was Houston, where I had been for 12 years. Left my marriage. I left everything, and I completely started over.
Where?
Well, I drove around in my Jeep for a while, which was super fun and freeing after being so stuck, you know,
wow.
and like doing everything everybody says and compartmentalizing everything. It was great. I would like roll the windows down, just scream out the window and go down a mountain. I spent a lot of time in Colorado and in California. I went to Yosemite. I went down the one. Death Valley. I went everywhere. I just had so much fun on the West Coast. And yeah, it's beautiful that I'm living in LA now, and I found my new partner, and ready to start this new family over again after completely resetting everything. Yeah.
Well, with the talk of resetting, it feels like the time to do some energy healing.
Perfect.
And we'll step away and do some Lahochi on you, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit about your experience in the energy healing session, and then we'll carry on. So would you like to set an intention for this healing session?
Yeah. My intention is to bring more creative energy in and remove any blockages.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Let's do it then.
Yes.
We will be right back after Emily's 13th Octave Lahochi session. And we are back from Emily's 13th Octave Lahochi session. I am curious. You told me a little bit already, but I am curious if you'd like to repeat some of it or share anything else that you remember.
Sure. Well, in general, I'm very relaxed right now. I feel very peaceful and just calm and mellow. And I felt that way the whole session. At the beginning, you started, and I felt the spirit of the master who, I guess, taught you this. I felt his presence, and I don't remember much after that. I felt like I went into a very deep, like almost like the deepest sleep. I don't think I moved the whole time. I don't think I had any thoughts or anything going on the whole time. It just felt like a very deep, almost like cellular regeneration or some kind of, when you do those float tanks for an hour or something, I went somewhere.
Wow.
And I think I'm back. I might be back.
Yeah.
I thought I wouldn't mind staying there. It was quite nice.
Okay, what can you describe a little bit about what it felt like in there?
Just complete peace, like just total freedom from body and freedom from mind. Just a deep rest. Deep rest is what I felt. And at the end, I think you called in some of your helper angels, and I felt them as like geometry. They showed up as geometry and different shapes, and I could probably draw it, but yeah, that was really beautiful that they showed up that way.
Oh.
So, yeah, I was having a good time.
That's so cool. Yeah, a couple of things are coming up for me. One is you sat up and you shared a little bit about what you were feeling, and you said, I met Lao Tzu. And it was wild for me because I didn't say anything about Lao Tzu to you in regards to this modality.
Yeah.
And he's the one that brought it down to earth, and that was incredible.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
I didn't know that was his lineage.
Yeah.
I just saw him very clearly. He introduced himself, and he turned into a tiger, and he ate me, and then and then I don't remember much after that. So
that was like the bite was what put you into the trance.
Yeah, it was kind of like I was a little here, and then he kind of ate my whole body, and then I don't remember much.
Wow.
So yeah, it's amazing. We study these disciplines, and they're all real. It's real energy working, and there's a real light master on the other side of the phone.
Yeah. That I'm still have a little bit of chills going through me. That's just beautiful. That's amazing. Another thing, one of the other things that is coming to me is, you said, you're saying that you were not moving, and last time you were here, last August, we did some energy work, and it was more Reiki, and it was really intense.
Yeah. The complete opposite of this.
There's a lot of some vocalization and some purging. And you even said before going into this session that you move a lot. You tend to move a lot.
I do, yeah.
And it just didn't happen this time.
No, total relaxation, the opposite. Yeah, it was calming of the nervous system rather than a purging or moving energy. I just felt like I was sinking into it. Yeah.
And then you just said there was like what is it, the word you used?
It felt like a cellular regeneration or
which
some kind of healing chamber I was in.
And right before we went in, we were talking about resetting. We were talking about resetting, and I just think that's amazing because like I heard that word reset, I was like, oh, this is the time to do it.
This felt like it was a reset. It was like back to zero.
And then the other thing that came up that's on my that's on my mind right now is when I called in the Angels of Light, the ones that you were just talking about, with the that came as a geometrical shape, or what was it? What did you say?
Yeah, some kind
Sort
of shapes, geometry.
Um, I have a really good relationship with them. Like usually when they come and do the work at that point in the process, I'm aware of what they're doing and we're communicating. They're like, and it's really beautiful and fun. And I felt that when I called them in, I felt them this time, and I was like, I couldn't really tell what they were doing. I was like, "What are you doing? I'm not seeing you. I'm not feeling you. I'm not like getting a message of what you're doing." And they said this one isn't for you to see. This is personal.
Oh. Well, yeah, then my version of it was some shapes, so they must have really been hiding from both of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it felt very other dimensional kind of vibes. Well, thank you
yeah,
for your connection with them and their privacy for my
yeah, it was
healing.
cool. I like I couldn't help but I smiled at it. I almost laughed out loud. I was like, I've never gotten that from them before. They're just like, it's personal. I'm like, okay, thank you. Thanks for doing that. This is cool. So that was my experience of the session with you.
Yeah.
It's
really beautiful work that you do, Joel, and I really like this format where you share and then you can see the actual transformation. I mean, just how I want to describe how I feel right now is just so centered, grounded, and relaxed, and just a quick session can make that switch. You know, this morning I was so worried about medical insurance and logistical things, and now I'm just, you know, I'm just so pleased and content and at peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
amazing how you can just shift so quickly.
Yeah. It is. It's really beautiful. It's beautiful. Well, thank you for that. Yeah. I mean, where do we go from here?
I feel like I'm gonna go meditate in the grass. Maybe see what Lao Tzu is up to.
I've never actually. I did once. Meet Lao Tzu, and I was in this ceremony as a facilitator, and I was doing it with my friend Lily, and we were working on. She was practicing with me, meeting my spirit guides, and he showed up. Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we can catch each other in the backyard or something. Yeah. I feel like I could just meditate all day. That's how I feel right now. It's a really beautiful feeling to calm the mind and calm all the thoughts and all the fears, you know. We're talking about all the things that are jumbled up all the time. I feel very clear. So.
It's so good. There's something in me that wants to relate that. I don't know what. Maybe it's just maybe it's an ego thing of wanting to relate it to more of what we were talking about before. This is so interesting.
I feel like a baby probably would feel, just waking up from a nice nap with not a care in the world, you know. Maybe it was a reset back to 6 months and not having the fear and not having the worries and not having the needs not met. It feels like a real inner peace that I would want my child to feel all the time, or I really think every human would want to feel all the time. That's maybe how it's related to our conversation before.
I want that.
Yeah. Sure. You want me to do some energy work on you?
Yeah, please.
All right.
Please.
Sounds good.
You know what? Can we talk a little bit about what you do in the world regarding healing, if you're open to that?
Yeah.
I'm curious. I know a little bit.
Yeah.
And I've been with you as you've done some work.
Sure, yeah.
But it would be nice to just, I guess, hear more and delve deeper in that.
Yeah.
And also, I think there's something that wants to relate it to how you would bring that into your relationship with your child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I work with different plant medicines, and a lot of my plant medicine journeys have been teaching me how to be a mom and showing me different little snapshots of, hey, this is how you would teach touch, or this is how you would teach play, or this is how you would teach discipline, or this is how you would respond to this. So, working with plants, I'm learning a new consciousness about motherhood. As I mentioned in my story before, I hit the reset button, and it kind of left me blank. I didn't have a job, a place to stay, image to uphold, and I was looking for healing. And so I found ayahuasca in the middle of the pandemic. And I was like, well, if I can get a flight, then I'll go. That was kind of my criteria. I was like testing to see, and they didn't even have the little strips yet. It was a wild time, and ayahuasca just showed me who she was, why she was here, how my part was meant to be played with her. She just kind of laid it out there, and I was like, okay, seems about right. And I was in business development at the time I left my corporate career. And so I just kind of started doing business development in plant medicine. And I just started, who will talk to me about this? What can I learn? How is this being done in the United States? How is this being done in South America? Where did this start from? And I just started traveling and researching, and it led me to Colombia, it led me to Peru, it led me to Costa Rica, it led me all over the United States, meeting different communities that were serving this medicine, and it led me to start a community of my own in Washington, D.C., where I was born, and kind of where the reset took me after a little while. My mom was like, maybe you should come home for a while, she was kind of thinking I was a little out there, and it's okay. For being like so grounded and just only worried about, taking the next step for 15 years, like being a little ungrounded was okay for a while, like really looking at the cosmos and shooting for what I really want, even though it sounded crazy, I kind of had to toy with that. Well, it might be crazy to you, but it's like working for me. So had to play with that. And I started an organization called Union Tribe Church in Washington, D.C., and I found different shamans to work with to come to the area. And I learned a lot through leadership, all of your weaknesses and shadows and stuff start showing up in community. And so it was a huge learning curve for me of, wow, there's things I still don't know, and I need to learn, and I need to heal in myself. And took a step back from Union Tribe and let 2 other women run it for the next 2 years, and kind of went deeper into my own healing and spent some more time on myself. And then I met my partner, and we now serve medicine together, and we travel all over the world doing that together, and that feels really good. Through sort of taking some time and being empty, it allowed me to sort of find new things, like this movie that I mentioned, this film about the first human child born in outer space. It's completely made in AI, with a creativity and not doing things the traditional way. It's kind of allowed me to sort of even see filmmaking in a different way, and storytelling, and the music that's involved is music I found through all this esoteric studies that I've been doing, sound healing, and a lot of research that I've done. I found this artist who's going to do the sound for the film. So I think like clearing things out has opened me up to like fill things back in with things that feel aligned. And wanting to share my knowledge. I feel like I poured myself into learning for the last 4 or 5 years, and just, my partner makes fun of me because I read these books like this thick, and I just crunch through them, like sometimes on Audible for, a 20-hour book or something like that is like really normal for me to read. Going really deep into esoteric studies, studies of magic and alchemy, and studying what the ancients did. Not all of them used plant medicine. Many of them used like different techniques. a lot of meditation practices, concentration, working with the elements, working with the planets. And so a lot of that studies have really culminated in like, I would really like to share this. And so, there's a part of me that's still learning, but there's also a part of me that wants to like pause and share this knowledge. And, people are waking up all over the world and realizing like, oh, there's more than just going to work and getting a paycheck. There's potentially a spiritual realm out there, or you could meet Lao Tzu, or there's energy healing. And I think that feels important to kind of like be a bridge for people. I really went down the rabbit hole pretty far, and just being a bridge to maybe point people in the direction of a book to open their psychic abilities, or maybe some practices that could really help them just start to open their awareness a little bit. So I'm excited what that's going to look like, whether that's through filmmaking or music or just sharing, like using my voice that's now opened. A lot of my wounds maybe now are going to become my gifts, instead of thinking the answer is no, the answer is always yes. Or instead of, not being able to speak my truth, I really speak my truth. It can like really swing the other way and become my biggest gift, because it was so hard for me my whole life.
Were you spiritual before you left your job?
So I was raised as a Christian, and so I had a deeper connection with God that had nothing to do with what I was learning in church. I had an experiential relationship with God. I trusted God. I had that faith always. I've been a person of faith my whole life, and that got really broken in high school and college, when I started realizing like, wait, this doesn't always add up, and the questions I'm asking you don't have answers for. And it left me actually seeking learning other religions. So I sought out Buddhism, I sought out Islam, I sought out reading other texts from a really young age. And just like I was like a sponge. I was like, I want to learn about the Hindu. Okay, wait, Hinduism was something made up by the Westerners. Okay, let me, learn Tantra. Let me learn the Vedic traditions. So I just was like a sponge for all kinds of religious studies. And it's really given me kind of a good base to work from, because I understand like the basic belief systems of all of these systems, and then even going a layer between that, below that, and seeing like, okay, well, this is what they tell you on TV kind of, or this is what they share publicly, but what are the original teachings trying to say? And so I think that faith and that connection with spirit has always been there, and now it's just broadened. So, my family, who's like, do you still believe in Jesus? That's all they're worried about, with me doing all this crazy stuff. It's like, actually, my relationship with Jesus and all of the other helpers that are out there is so much deeper and so vast. Let me tell you about the fairies that are here to help us too. Let me tell you, about all these other people that are here to help us as well. So it's broader and vaster and wilder, and the universe is crazier, I think, than I could have ever imagined it.
When you awesome.
Fun. Fun for me.
Yeah, loads of fun. When you say you're a sponge, do you have, when I read, I wouldn't say I'm a sponge. So I'm wondering if you have some sort of photographic memory, or are you just able, what is it that?
Auditory memory. I had a hard time learning how to read as a child. So like words got really jumbly on the page for me. And so my parents actually read out loud to me. And so I learned to pick up everything. And a lot of times I couldn't really read what was going on. And so I learned how to listen to everything the teacher said, or everything that was said in a book. And so I have like a really good auditory recall, to the point where I could like listen to our conversation and I could like replay it later. So it's like through my not being able to read, I kind of like super loaded my auditory skills.
Wow. Cool. I want that.
Well, I don't know. It was difficult. It was difficult not being able to read as a young child and struggling in English class. And I still to this day, I can't write with proper grammar. I'm so thankful for AI. I'm like, okay, make this grammatically correct. Okay, put a positive spin on this. Okay. You know, it's just so great for me. I was born at the right time.
Yeah. Yeah. So having all this awareness, knowledge, interaction with spirits and knowledge of religions or teachings, we'll say, what do you feel your approach to sharing those teachings with your child would be?
There's a fine line there, because as you and I experienced, there's one thing to like shove a belief system down someone's throat, right? Like, this is what we believe. And there's another thing that I think is what is emerging for me to share with my child is like, I'm going to share with you what I've learned. You decide if you like it or not. You test it for yourself and see what works for you. You know, the world is going to be a very different place in 20 years. You know, even as much as we want to share with our kids, you know, they're going to need to learn how to make decisions, especially right now with all of this fake news and AI, and they're going to need to be able to decide the truth for themselves. So I think it's more like an emphasis on learning how to learn, and an emphasis on like you need to decide your truth, and you need to be able to tune into your own guidance system to do that. And so I think when I educate my children, it will be more about tuning in versus like swallowing a bunch of information or a bunch of books. Like I think those two things, if I could leave those, I'm not so worried about the rest of it.
That feels really good. The tuning into what their truth is, to what they're feeling they connect to. That sounds really nice.
Yeah.
Would you say hypothetical, this is what helped me?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can share what helped me, but I think just as you found your spirit guides are different than mine. I appreciate you introducing me to Lao Tzu. You know, I would probably do the same for my child. Like, hey, let's find out who your guides
that's
are.
Fun.
You know, you probably came here with a bunch of helpers. They might be mine, but they might also be somebody else. And I think encouraging the child to go down whatever path that looks like for them. You know, maybe Chinese martial arts is more of their path, or an African dance is more of their path. I mean, I think we've all been incarnated so many times. They may have a lineage or a group, or who knows, maybe they're from another star system that's never been to Earth before, and they're like, this is all new. I don't know. You know, we just don't know. Meeting people along my path, I just find like how everybody's wired so different, and if I can just remember that in my own children, it's like everybody's wired a little bit different. And their way of learning and their way of seeing the world is, you know, they need to be encouraged to kind of find that themselves.
There's this a big part of me feels really good, you know, and then there's this one little voice over here that's like, well, what happens if the kid doesn't, like, still disagrees with how you're doing it? Like, that's still possible.
Yeah.
Like, even the tune in. Yeah. Find your own way. Like,
yeah.
That's
yeah, maybe they're more logic minded and tuning in is not their thing. Then we'll need to find out what their thing is, I guess. Yeah. I think you didn't get that opportunity. And so there might be part of you that's like, what, you know. I mean, there was definitely part of me that didn't. I was asking a lot of questions, but not getting a lot of answers.
My learning how to tune in has been a really shame-filled road, scary road, difficult road, second-guessing, doubting road.
Yeah.
Because of how much it was like don't do that.
Don't question.
Don't
don't
do
ask
that.
any
Yeah,
questions.
don't do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. The answer's no. Or if the answer's, if you're going to do that, you're going to go to hell. I mean, it's intense and then the fear of losing your family because of you're not doing what they told them. It probably feels really scary now to make that step. So yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it'll be interesting. You could maybe watch what it looks like from the outside, what it looks like when there's like an openness there, and maybe that. Yeah.
Right.
I would love for you to be a witness.
Yeah. No, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting is the approach that you are taking is to love this person in whatever way they find their truth, in whatever way they want to experience this world.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what feels really good.
Tearies in the eye. I've never said the word tearies before, but I just did.
I think we should put it in the Urban Dictionary. It's a good one. Yeah. Love. Love through understanding, love through compassion and acceptance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understanding, compassion, acceptance, and support.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, this has been a fun after wrap.
It has. And I am excited for when your child decides to come.
Yes.
And to see how their experience with you and Ivana are.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn and grow together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, what a really nice, succinct, like it feels such a great close, which I love.
We'll end with the tearies.
And the tearies. You got me tearies. That's a wrap.
God.
Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast.
Yeah. Thank you.
And sharing all of the things you shared and your thoughts and where you come from and all the challenges you've been through and the way you've worked with them. Yeah. Really beautiful stuff.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. It's been an absolute pleasure. Appreciate all that you do, all the training it took to get to this point.
Thank you. Yeah. And to all of you out there who may be watching or listening, I invite you to make a little room for healing in your lives. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for making a little room for my podcast. I'd love to be a part of your journey too. Follow me on Instagram at A Little Room for Healing for news, updates, offerings, and connection. To book a session with me, go to www.alittleroomforhealing.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, follow the link at the bottom of the episode description. Have a beautiful day.